So I wanted to do just kind of an impromptu video on something that I deal with a lot when teaching students. If any of you have followed me for any amount of time, you know that I'm very big on hand technique and playing the proper way. I've got a whole course on it. The members there on the website. And so I redefined my technique years ago. And so it's just much easier if you get out of your way whenever you're trying to play the drums. The technique allows us to do that. So the thing I want to talk about, though, is the pinky out phenomenon. Why does it exist? Why do we do that? And why do we not need to be doing that? You know, why does your teacher not want you to do that whenever you're playing? And so one of my first snare teacher, I remember, I believe it was Jim. I believe Jim Moore was his name. We were sitting there, and I remember the room I was in the band hall, and he said, "Are you British?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Okay, well, we're not having tea. Put your pinky down." And that was that joke has always stuck with me. No offense to anyone from Great Britain, but it was just kind of emphasized to me the importance of paying attention to that. And so why? No one ever told me why. And that was something that I struggled with for years. I'll do anything, but you got to give me a reason. Like, give me a solid reason. Why am I doing that? Why is it not okay to do that? No one ever gave me a reason why with that. They just said, "Oh, it's not good technique." Well, that's not a why. So I wanted to play the, but why game, because that's what my kids do, right? You give them the thing and they're 3 and they're like, "But why? But why?" And you say, "Well, it's just because how it is." "But why?" "Well, I don't know. Grass is green." "But why?" "Well, I don't know." Like this, it's just, and that was kind of, I would always go, but why do we not want to? So the more I dove into my own technique, if any of you have heard me talk about fulcrum and balance point and rebound, all that stuff, you know that I have a very loose grip. So I think very much more of cradling the stick rather than gripping the stick. I used to think of gripping the stick from here. This was my fulcrum point, and that was also my gripping point, and that's how I needed to be. And that, for me, is no longer the case. My fulcrum point is here, and I think more of cradling the stick more than I do gripping the stick. So I can take all my fingers off, and I still don't allow tension to do that. But whenever you're seeing people play very relaxed, oftentimes you don't see that pinky coming up because they do keep that cradled around there. Whenever I see the pinky coming into play and starting to come off the stick is whenever a player is gripping from here, and that is one style of gripping. But what happens is whenever they start to get faster, they try to do something technical, they're playing harder, they start to bring that pinky off of the stick. And what that tells me is, whenever that starts to happen, is that we're applying more pressure here. When the pinky comes off naturally, there is more pressure on the stick. Why is that? Well, I mean, you just do this, grip the stick from here, you do this, and then begin to take fingers off of the stick. As you take fingers off the stick, you have to apply more pressure here to keep the stick in your hand. If you don't, it's going to fall out. Why? Because you're removing the support system from here, right? So one of the reasons I do not like to see students having their pinkies flailing out like that is because it tells me there's tension at the gripping point, more than there should be. And you see it happen a lot whenever they start to play faster and they start to lock up, and then fingers start coming off because we're trying to muscle out something that we can't do. So that's one of the reasons that I'm not a fan of bringing the pinky off the stick, because naturally you automatically begin to have more tension there if that's your gripping point. The second thing for me, whenever it comes to the pinky being off of the stick, is it removes a lot of control from what you're doing. So whenever I'm playing, and let's say I'm playing finger control in German grip, okay? So I'm playing with just the pinky now, playing with the ring finger, playing with my middle finger, playing with the first, all those, I'm just moving the stick with my fingers. Well, if I begin taking fingers off, I'm removing the engines that I have back there, okay? And so I don't ever want to take away my facility with the stick. And whenever we begin to remove fingers from the stick, that's what we're doing. We're removing some control. So in my mind, we're introducing tension and we're removing control of the stick. And you will see, I've seen some drummers that have some very big gigs, and you will see them begin to pull pinkies off the stick as a bad habit that starts. And to me, I often see it on their left hand whenever they're slamming backbeats or coming to play something, and you can see their arm tense up when they do that. So the reasons for me that you do not want a pinky or fingers in general coming off that stick. You'll see when I play that this finger hangs pretty loosely, but it's not off the stick. All of my fingers are always there on the stick, even if I'm playing molar. So they're always there ready to play. So I can play push-pull, I can play finger control there, I can do just a wrist stroke, I can do molar, I can do push-pull with the wrist. But my fingers are always there, and they're always a cradle for that stick. So the first reason is it introduces tension to the stick. The second reason is you begin to lose control of that stick whenever you start to take off the different engines that you have on there. So when you go to do something like an intricate pattern with finger control, you can't do that near as quick. So those are the reasons for me. If you're wondering, if you've had a teacher say, no, you don't need to bring the pinkies off the stick. Those are the reasons for me that I give students for why we want to keep all the fingers cradling the stick, not necessarily gripping the stick very tightly, just cradling the stick. So leave me a comment though. Let me know your thoughts on technique. I'm always interested in what you have to say. You always hear what I have to say. What do you have to say? I read all the comments and try to respond to as many of them as I can as well. Subscribe to the channel. If you have not, I don't know what you're doing, turn on post notifications. There's new lessons and videos coming every week. Share this with somebody you think it may help. Jump over to the website. Lots of free stuff over there, as well as a membership program. If you're needing some in-depth help with your technique, it's one of the most watched courses on the website is the technique course. So I would love to have you in there. But no matter what you do, I'll see you here in the next video.